Well, certainly a very clear commitment from Germany as one of South Africa's partners when it comes to the just energy transition in terms of the allocation of funds. We've seen quite a very astronomical figure in terms of really making sure South Africa is able to decarbonise. It's a very long journey and it goes back to Glasgow. We saw where obviously quite a number of commitments were made. But joining us now is Germany's envoy for Just Energy Transition Partnership, Mr. Baake. So once again, sir, thank you so much for your time. You spoke about Germany's commitment amid a very uncertain period globally. Tell us about your commitment in making sure that we see this project really being unleashed in South Africa.
As you just mentioned, this partnership goes back to 2021, when all countries, including South Africa, which is one of the big emitters of greenhouse gases, had to make a pledge. Where do we want to be 2030? And South Africa at that time said we can be even more ambitious if we get international support. So this group of countries, Germany, Britain, France, European Union, back then also the United States, committed to 8.5 billion US dollars of financial support through grants and concessional finance. And then we started. The beginning was difficult because the South African society was suffering from load shedding. And I certainly understand, because we wouldn't do it any different in Germany. Nobody shuts down any generator when there is not enough electricity to supply your households and your business. So bringing new generation capacities to the grid was slower than South Africa had anticipated, but now I think we have a different situation. I've been in the country now for quite a few days. We have had 40 meetings with government representatives, but also and especially with members of the business community, and I see a really big appetite in investments in the generation sector, and that is in especially wind and solar, because those are the cheapest sources of electricity. So the moment you open the market, you allow investors from South Africa, from Africa, but also from abroad to come to your country and invest, then I think you will see a successful energy transition that will create growth, that will create jobs, and at the end, of course, everything to the benefit of the South African society.
And just once again, sir, I mean, initially we saw that's resistance, especially with areas like Mpumalanga, where we know job creation is a big issue. But I would imagine that obviously it takes time to really get that willingness. How has it been in terms of your interaction with the South African authorities in terms of their commitments as well, especially now where climate change, but also the issues around the socio-economic conditions as well?
Well, first of all, what happened at Komati had nothing to do with the Just Energy Transition Partnership. This was before. The South African government has told us it did not go well in Komati, and whatever step we take in the future, we have to do it differently. For example, this front-loading first jobs in these areas and then afterwards closing down the coal-fired stations. I completely understand that. And Germany, with the help of our GIZ and with the help of funding, for example, we have a lot of training programs so that young unemployed people are trained for these new job requirements that an energy transition will bring. We can help, but at the end, it's all a decision of the South African government.
And just before I let you go, Mr. Baake, you were just reflecting on the global trends. I mean, for example, with China's example, just like your country's example as well, Germany as well, in terms of really making sure that the world is moving. I mean, the renewable energy, the enormous appetite in terms of tapping into this space.
There's no way back in the energy transition. Just look at the international figures. You see that renewables, especially wind and solar, are skyrocketing. They are outperforming any investment into any other technology. So the market has decided. The market wants the cheapest form of electricity, and that is renewable energies. And you actually here in this part of the world have a very big competitive advantage. Last year there was an auction in Germany and in South Africa at the same time for ground solar. And I was so surprised that in spite of all the disadvantages, higher cost of finance, the cost in South Africa was half the price as in Germany.
And obviously it's breaking hot as we're standing here in Pretoria, so solid to tap into.
Exactly.
All right.
Exactly.
Thank you so much indeed, Mr. Baake. Of course, reflecting on the very significance of this game changer. We know the commitment by the South African government to make sure that this project succeeds. And obviously, there will always be resistance, but obviously, it's a very cautiously optimistic path in terms of making sure that we do see success in this regard. Khayelihle Khumalo, SABC News, Pretoria.